All right, welcome back to the Level Up and Live podcast. I'm your host, Sean Myers, and founder of the Level Up and Live movement. Our mission is to empower business owners and emerging leaders to design a life they don't grow to hate through accountability, support, guidance, clarity, and community. Today, we're sitting down with the one and only Kyle Ewald, marketer, pastor, and mission-driven entrepreneur behind Zion Digital. Kyle's journey takes him from a rough childhood and losing both his parents to addiction all the way to building a thriving marketing agency in an orphanage in Guatemala. Get ready for raw honesty, fresh marketing insight, and a masterclass on turning pain into purpose. Kyle, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's so good to be with you, Sean.
Well, you know how we roll, man. Hit us with that 1-minute intro.
Yeah, my name is Kyle. We own a couple things. We own a marketing agency. We own some snowball stands. But most importantly to us, we have a orphanage in Guatemala that is my main purpose in life, what keeps me fueled. I'm a strong believer in Christ and love Jesus, love what he's done in my life. And so I use my businesses to completely fund and empower our passions like our orphanage.
Dude, that's beautiful. I love that story. So take us back, and there's always a reason I've learned in entrepreneurship and business ownership. There's always a North Star. We don't necessarily know what that is early stages of life, but I've learned along the way when you're doing things that you're doing, building a business in pastoring and ministering in Guatemala, all these big things that you're doing, they require a big cause. They require a big purpose. And typically when you have that, it's because you've been through things. You've been through the pain cave. You've been through the emotional journey, the ups and the downs, the hills and the valleys, the adversities, the trials and tribulations. And that is what we're all about, in leveling up and living our best life. And that's how we make an impact and serve. So take us back to the toughest scene of your childhood. What happened in that season that eventually sparked there has to be more conviction in you and a catalyst in your transformation and where you are today?
Yeah, I grew up in Dallas, Fort Worth. My dad was an amazing, guitar artist throughout the Dallas area. And then my mom was, the best mom anybody could ask for. When I was 8, my dad passed away from a drug overdose, which, traumatized me a lot. And then whenever I was 13, my mother passed away from the same thing, from a drug overdose. But before she passed away, her drug addiction got really bad. It got to where we were not financially stable at all. I was making keychains with beads and string, and I would go to the, 7-Eleven nearby and sell them and lie and say, hey, this is for Boy Scouts or whatever it is. And I would sell these keychains just to get a hot dog and a Slurpee for me and my mom. And so at an early age, I had to really start learning how to survive and support myself. I remember in the apartment complex, I had, clientele that I would take out their trash because you had to take your trash out to the dumpster in the apartment complex. So I had about 50 people in the apartment complex that I would start taking trash out for them. And I had like a little business there. And all throughout my childhood, I remember just trying to help my mom as best as possible. It got really bad whenever my mom was taking me back and forth to Mexico, to Laredo, actually, and I would have a Spider-Man backpack and I would cross the border with her. She would buy, a crap ton of hydrocodone and whatever else it was. She would stick it in the backpack and we would come back across the border. And so it was things like that to where, my mom would tell me, we're not going to be able to eat today. We don't have any money. And it was by the time I was 13 that I was really an orphan myself and didn't really know what I was going to do. I had random people, thank God, taking care of me. Most importantly, a man named Phil Durham, who was my youth pastor at the time, actually, that today I call my stepdad. My kids and I FaceTime him literally every day. We go on vacations with him. He is literally like my dad, but I had a guy like him in my life.
Yeah. Man, that's beautiful. So was there a single conversation? This leads perfectly into my next question. I was curious with your story and the catalyst of that transformation. So it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is this pastor and who you call stepdad today has been a big mentor in your life that's really helped flip the switch from surviving to building and is what you set you on this path of entrepreneurship to really build Zion Digital. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah. So, he never judged me. I mean, I would be in and out of jail throughout my teen years just because I was so confused and lost. And he would consistently come and bail me out and never judge me, never hate on me. He would just simply be who he needed to be. And I actually, to be honest with you, I moved from Dallas to Houston to go to Bible school, went through a 4-year Bible school program here. And through that, I accidentally, in a sense, started a nonprofit in Guatemala. Our pastor of the church asked me to go to Guatemala to film a documentary. I went to Guatemala and filmed the documentary, and I was completely just shook in life. I saw Guatemalans that hadn't eaten in days. We flew United Airlines into Guatemala. We flew a little bitty plane 40 minutes into the mountains, which, cut an 8-hour drive. We drove 3 hours up the mountain and then hiked another 3 hours up the mountain. So you're with people that don't even speak Spanish at that point. And it was very clearly God saying, you were hungry at one point. You didn't have anybody at one point. And now I'm calling you to be that person, to be a Phil, right? A Phil in my life, to be that person. And so I came back, started a nonprofit, and quickly realized that I didn't want to live off of a nonprofit, right? I wanted 100% of the money to go to, the people in Guatemala. And so I always loved cameras. I loved videography. I loved the digital world, and I understand how powerful it is. So I started filming documentaries. It's amazing that you can really bring somebody to Guatemala without them having to be there, because you're able to literally film a documentary, put music behind it, create a movement, create a vibe, create a story, and show it to somebody, and they connect, right? And so that's what I did. And so through that, I started helping businesses do the same thing, and it just skyrocketed. People started calling me left and right, and they were like, "Can you help us? Can you help us?" I mean, clients like Christian Brothers Automotive, to Chick-fil-A's, to your local plumbers, all over the place. And that's really what grew my business.
When you launched Zion Digital, what specific problem in the marketplace did you feel uniquely called to solve? And why did your story equip you for it? So when I'm hearing you say is going in from the transitioning of Guatemala and seeing the demands and the experience of fulfilling and serving and impacting and telling people's story out there, you're like, oh, I can align this with business owners, emerging leaders that are needing help, like some of the businesses that you had mentioned. So when you launched Zion Digital, what specific problem in that marketplace did you feel uniquely called to solve and help?
Yeah, well, one thing that I always say, and I've been saying for over 7-8 years now, is people do business with people who they feel like they know and they trust, right? So Steve Jobs understood this very well. Mattress Mac here in Houston, for those of you that are in Houston, know this very well, that you're not just doing business with Gallery Furniture, but you're actually doing business with a man named Mattress Mac. And what I started realizing in the world is that that is the number one thing that I think business owners should focus on. And what I saw in the marketing world was that there was a lot of big marketing corporations. There was a lot of big corporate offices running marketing, but nobody was really there on a local level. Nobody was really there on a personal level, really partnering with a client and really understanding their needs, being willing to get out of their office and drive to their business and understand, like, wait a minute, there's competitors at every corner, right? Or whatever it may be. And so I started realizing that the customer service in the marketing world was horrible. You as a client would email a client or email your marketing agency, and you wouldn't hear back for a week or two. I started realizing that they would plateau on development of, utilizing certain processes and technology. They would plateau because they're just sticking. And so I literally made it my goal to, number one, just be a personal guy, just be a good guy that does business with people. But number two, to continue to develop. And number three, make sure that our team that I eventually built, I didn't have a team before. I was just a one-man show, but now I have about 15 employees, which is amazing. But that my team responds within 30 minutes to any email, that we have things like you can text our entire team through one phone number, and it's like you're, texting your friend. And I just started realizing I'll have clients that will leave sometimes because they feel like they could get better somewhere else. And they always come back because they've realized that nobody can match the customer service. Listen, the technology is out there. And I say this all the time, you can find a marketing company that could probably do what we do, and you may be able to find somebody that can do it a little bit better, to be real honest with you, with the technology, but you will not find somebody that will partner next to you and provide the customer service that we provide, which is the problem I wanted to solve.
I love that, man. I couldn't agree with you more, because I always say this, top 3 skill sets that we need in business that most businesses lack is communication. Communication when it comes to business. And if you lack that, whether it's calling a 100 number, texting, emailing, and molding it to that emerging leader or business owner, man, you have a customer for life if you can over communicate and over promise, over deliver. A lot of people like to say under promise, over deliver, but at the end of the day, it's all about that value proposition and figuring out what it is that works for you and what doesn't work for you and doing business with that person. I'm curious, man, with marketing, and a lot of our listeners and audience listening to this are business owners, they're startups all the way up to 15 years of business. What would you say like a myth or a misconception is when it comes to marketing? Because when I think of marketing, I love hands-on. Everything that you're saying, I love communication. I love working with a team. I love working with somebody that's going to help me get to where I want to go in my business and documenting that story. Everything you're hitting the nail right on the head. But what do you find like when business owners, you're up front with them and you have that conversation with them? What is a misconception? Like they think they're coming in and getting this, but then in 3 months they pick their head up and go, "Oh, this isn't what I thought it was."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. Right now we're in a season where a lot of marketing guys are popping up, and they're coming in at a very low cost, a couple $100 a month. And what's happening is those guys are usually overwhelmed. Those guys are usually at a place in life where they're not able to fully deliver. I've built a team that has really excelled in every department. So my ads director is the best in ads. My videographer is the best in video. So I always say when you hire us, you're not just hiring me as, the owner, as a strategist is what I say. I love to sit down in a room and just strategize and then deploy our team at it. But you're really hiring experts in every field. But to answer your question more directly, what I will say is a lot of companies come to us saying, "Oh, marketing hasn't worked for us in the past. Marketing doesn't work." Or they'll kind of go straight to Facebook ads. They're like, Facebook ads doesn't work. And what they don't realize is that you really cannot just go and develop even using AI right now, an image and boost that on Facebook and pay a couple $100, and then you're not really going to get anything, right? There's so much more to marketing than that. It's not just getting a post and boosting it, right? It's because there's no call to action on that, right? I'm a data collector, right? Everything I do is lead generation. I have snowball stands. We run an ad to communities that says, get a free small snowball. They fill out a form. When they fill out a form, now I have their data forever. They get an automated text that says, come to that snowball stand within 24 hours for your free snowball. So then they come to the stand, they get a free snowball, but then they end up buying fried Oreos or funnel cakes and then other snowballs for their kids. So they end up spending around $30 from a 30 cents free small snowball. And then now I have their data forever. So now when it's going to be a little bit cloudy and I know it's going to be slow, I can send a mass text message out to 10,000 people who have filled out that form. And I know I'll have a line at my door within 30 minutes, right? And so traditionally, a lot of business owners would have just said, man, I'm going to boost this post and hope for the best. And that's not how marketing works. It's all about, it takes 1.2 seconds to get anybody's attention. Okay. So does that ad even get attention? Number two, it's all about relation. Do people even know you're in? For instance, my snowball stand is in the Willis area. So do you relate that to people? Hey, I'm in the Willis area, right? A lot of ads are very interesting because a lot of ads will start off as, are you looking for a watch? And it's like, what? It's like, no. Your ad really should have been, are you a 35-year-old man living in New York City area that's looking for a watch, right? Like the more you hyper target, the better it's going to be. And so number one, the ads don't work, right? You really need somebody that's going to understand that process and think differently. Listen, I can install my own thermostat, okay? But 3 days later, that thing may catch on fire because I probably didn't connect it correctly because I don't really know what I'm doing. I can do it. I can go on YouTube and learn it. But realistically, I'm probably not going to need to do that. And so that's one misconception that we always say a lot of times is marketing does work, right? But number two is not just marketing in one area. So I have clients that say, man, I really love Google, right?
Yeah.
And I'm what they call a domination marketer. My mindset in the marketing world is I'm going to have a wrap on my truck. I'm going to have billboards. I'm going to have Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads. I'm going to be everywhere. I'm going to be in networking. I'm going to be on the Facebook groups. I'm going to be doing good for the community simply because I'm a good person. But number two, just because I understand that I want to be involved with my community that I want to do business with. And so one big misconception is that marketing is just one source, right? That works for me. But when you look at a lot of your guys that are very successful in business, they are everywhere. And whenever our clients come to our business, I tell them, you better get ready. Because I don't want you to hire me if you're just kind of halfway in. I want you to hire me if you want to dominate the industry that you're in.
So if a founder listening to this is like, yes, I understand, man, domination, be across all different social media platforms. It's so overwhelming, Kyle. I don't know where to start. What would you tell that founder? And to put a little spice to it, if they had $1,000 in 10 hours of their time, energy, and effort, and they have a lean budget for a new business owner, they want to move that revenue needle this next quarter going into finishing up 2025. Where should they put both their $1,000 and their 10 hours in time, energy, and effort?
Yeah. So number one, I would say divide that $1,000 between 3 different major platforms, which in my opinion should be Google and Facebook. And one other source. Is that a billboard on the side of the road? Is that, what is it wrapping your vehicle? Okay. But, 3 different major sources. So for instance, if you're a plumbing company, you understand that Google is going to be a major, platform for you, but then also simultaneously with pixel ads, which means when somebody lands on your website, they're going to start seeing your ads flooded all over the place on Facebook and Instagram, making sure that your digital, what we call digital infrastructure is set up properly, right? So number one, spending your $1,000 and even maybe just understanding, hey, I have 2 forms. I have Google and Facebook. Dominate that area. Okay. Number one. Number two, I would say hyper target communities. There's a community nearby called Woodland Hills. And a lot of my clients, what they'll do is they will, because that's their clientele, they will literally circle that neighborhood for them and literally dominate that whole area for them and even do customer reviews to that, right? So whatever their business is, let's just say it's power washing, going to your clients in Woodland Hills, getting a video camera, doing selfie video. Listen, we used to be in an age where we needed professional video, but because of the TikTok era, now having your phone everywhere is perfect, right? And so going to your clients, getting testimonial reviews, and then hyper targeting that video over all of their social media, over that entire area, now builds trust, now builds all of that. And then if you have 10 hours of your day, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to say you need to go to every single one of your clients and you need to do testimonial videos with them. And then more importantly, also going in and just being a good person to them, taking them to lunch, hanging out with them, just having a relationship with your clients, not on a weird level, but just on a level of just like getting to know them, because your clients are going to be, my clients are what really pushes my business. My marketing does a lot. I had a guy yesterday we signed.
Yeah.
But for me, it's I've understood that the power of my clients just purely loving us is what's really going to grow your business.
I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. Everything that you're saying, I couldn't agree with you more. And it takes, what I'm also hearing you say is it takes intention. It takes intention, time, energy, and effort, resources, and just putting yourself out there. An individual came to me about 3 months ago. I just made a social media post on this and the Level Up and Live mastermind group. And he had reached out to me, DM me on Instagram and said, man, I'm struggling. And I'll leave his name out and I'll leave his business out just for confidentiality. But he had reached out to me and, he had this long text message and this long DM. And so we set up a call to, just to see if I could point him in the right direction or get him plugged in. And that was the first step is having the courage to reach out to Sean or to Kyle. I I'm a business owner. I've been in business 6 years and I'm struggling with leads. Kyle, I need help. You're going to go to war with that person because they're reaching out for courage.
Right.
So that was step one. Step two is this individual I ended up finding out is he was doing the opposite of everything what you're saying. He wasn't plugging himself into these communities, into making social media posts and just getting his name out there. Didn't even have been in business for almost a year, didn't have a Google My Business. And so all these things, were blind spots and unaware, and you have nailed it right on the head from my understanding as well. And we've always been, what'd you call it earlier? You called it domination marketing.
Domination. We're going to dominate.
I love that because that's what we've always done in 2015. Gary Vee had said this when I started listening to him about a decade ago. He said, day trade attention, be in front of people's faces everywhere. Yeah. And that's all I ever did, at just constantly posting, constantly on social media. Yeah. And what it's led to, our top 3 lead sources are Google My Business, and on Google, on customer, we get over almost 500 Google reviews. The second thing is customer referrals. Yeah. And then the third thing is customer cross-selling your current customers. Yeah. Those top 3 lead sources right there. Yeah. And you said it earlier, those customer testimonies are such a key ingredient. Because if you take care of the customers, they do business with who they like and trust. They're going to go tell their friends and family. There is no other powerful way to do business. What I have learned. Would you agree with that, or any thoughts on that?
100%. I have a website, and on my website, on the bottom of that, I have a video where I'm literally just standing in front of probably 80 different business owners, and it's a selfie, and we put a montage together where they're like, I love you. You're amazing. We're doing this. We're doing that. Y'all are doing this. And literally, whenever I have a client that doesn't know me, they saw a Facebook ad I'm running. So I completely understand. We have no idea who we are. We have no relation. We have no client that has referred. So it's a hard sell at that point. What I always say is, listen, just go to my website, take a look. And I always know they're going to go straight down to the bottom and look at this video of client reviews. Yes. And I always get them calling me back saying, okay, let's do it. Right. And so there's no better sell. I mean, I literally had to train myself. And at first it's hard. And business owners that are out here listening, I'm going to tell you, if you're a roofer, for instance, your chances are you're with 3 clients a day. Chances are you're with people every single day that are your clients. And what we forget to do is to film these experiences. And I know it sounds crazy, but just literally take 30 seconds. So whenever I'm with a client meeting, whenever I'm literally anywhere, and if you go in my social media, you're going to see that I do a lot of client reviews. Now, I'll even be honest with you. Yesterday, I do things like this all the time where one of my clients I filmed and I said, hey, he's been with me for 7 months. I want you to tell me how it's been. And he was nice. He was like, bro, it's been amazing. It's been great, whatever. But then I got real. And I said, hey, listen, the reason why we're in this meeting today, and this is on camera, right? The reason why we're in this meeting today is because his leads have been struggling. At first, his leads were strong. Now his leads are kind of getting a little bit, rough. They're not converting as well. And that's why we're here. And I had somebody call me right after I posted that and said, bro, I'm going to do business with you because that was the most honest thing I've ever heard in my life, that you as a marketer were willing to put that on camera and say, and I said, bro, because I'm in this with you. I want you to be successful. I don't have a year-long contract. I don't have a 6-month contract. My clients are with me. I have over 100 clients that are with me because they choose to be with me per month, not because they're forced to be with me. So if you're not successful, I'm not successful, right? Yeah. And then I will also say it's another thing on social media as well to ensure that you're not just business. Right? People don't want to just see the level up Sean Myers. People don't want to just see the insurance broker Sean Myers. They also want to see, does Sean Myers have a dog? What's his life with his his relationship with his wife like? What's his like for me, I make it intentional that I rarely get on Facebook and say, if you want to be doing business with me, blah blah blah, you better call me today. I don't do that. I do client reviews, post my kids, I post about our orphanage. I have a stupid snowball stand in Willis that I post about, and people get to know that I'm not just some, marketer, they get to understand, wait a minute, especially in my industry, wait a minute, that's a real dude. That's a nice guy. Like that's a guy that's doing stuff. So
I love what you're saying. And what I'm hearing you say is that you, with the gentleman taking it back, that you brought on this customer, is you not only authentically and genuinely did that, but it was also relatable and you were also vulnerable. Yeah. Because a lot of times, man, even myself, we post all this stuff on social media and it looks like rainbows and sunshines. It's like, man, they live a perfect life. I was talking to a recent member recently and he's like, man, this guy's always traveling and he's with his kids and he seems like he's just living the high life, and doing really well. And I immediately thought, and I, of course, we moved on the conversation because it's none of my business, but we're all struggling, like business owners, customers, family, friends. Just what you see on social media is just one. That's just a snapshot, two seconds. Yeah. And so the fact that you did that and you shared that vulnerability, is so powerful and is not done by a lot of people. Yeah. And I'm curious on your thoughts on why do more people not do that, Kyle? And then the sub question of that is, why don't people post more about their family, their nonprofits, and doing those things from your experience?
Yeah. Well, I think one of your first questions is, for vulnerability, we have a client that, is with us and it's a flooring company but they also do remodeling as well. And she told me when we first started, she goes, if not every single time we are going, because in the remodeling world and the flooring world, there's always going to be an issue, right? There's always going to be an issue. Did we float it right? Did we do everything right? Maybe not, right? We're dealing with contractors, whatever. And she goes, but what we love about that is we will always make it right. And so she told me an experience that she had where she, sent a guy $250 just as like, hey, and go get dinner while we come and we fix it. And then the guy changed his 3-star review to a 5-star review. Right. And so, at the snowball stand, I had a new lady that's working there. And, a couple of days ago, she accidentally put in 2 fried Oreo orders instead of 1. And the guy came up and said, hey, wait a minute, I didn't order. And she was all apologetic to me. And I said, listen, here's what mistakes do. Mistakes, number 1, freak you out to make you never want to do that again, number 1. But number 2, it provides an opportunity for us to make something right with the client and that guest. And that guest is always going to remember they made it right. Right? Like, I don't care. Like, okay, let's just refund the money. That's cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think that we as business owners need to do a very good job at being honest, right? I did a video the other day where I literally said, hey, a lot of our clients are saying that they don't feel like they really have an account representative, that they're just dealing with a big team rather than one direct person. And because of that, we're now going to implement this. I was very honest with it. And guess what? All my clients were messaging me saying, thank God you did this. This is amazing. Right. And so the other thing is a lot of people think that business and life has got to be separated. And I'm going to tell you, increasingly, you're moving into an era and a world where that just isn't going to be able to happen anymore as much as people want it to happen. Right. And I deal with a lot of clients that are, they're not huge companies, although I do have clients that are huge, but I have a lot of service industry companies. And I'm going to tell you, I would much rather deal with Mark the plumber, and I know his values. I know his life. I know that he's spending time on vacation with his family. I know that he's doing that than some corporation style business that I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Right. And so I think it's very important to do that, to make sure that people know who you are, and not in a fraudulent way, not in a fake way, not in a, just a natural way, right? A lot of my clients are my friends. So I'll be going out to dinner. My whole family will be going out to dinner with half of my clients, and I'll post that stuff. And people think that's weird. They're like, you chill with your clients like that? I'm like, yes, like that's just his life, So it's just making sure that you're transparent with problems, but then you're also transparent with who you are as an actual human.
I love that. And I'm curious, you're building these relationships. You're not transactional, but you're relational, which is another level up moment in you building your business. And I'm curious, how are you separating, and what does your mindset look like behind, because if you do business with somebody, you're coming into, the mastermind group, you're coming into these networking places, and then you're building these relationships with these people, and people do business with you they know, like, and trust. I'm curious on your mindset around, well, let's say in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, things don't plan out the way the business owner or the emerging leader that you've built a relationship with. How do you approach that? Because I know a lot of people listening to this, business owners and emerging leaders, have that same thing where they're out there building the relationships. And this could be across the board, their team, their customers, or their business partners, strategic partners. I'm curious, with your strategic mindset around that, how do you overcome that when that time comes?
Yeah. So number one, I'm a believer, and this has a lot to do with what I'm about to say, but I believe that in every single relationships, listen, here's the one thing. Every single one of us are crazy in our own way. We all have a little bit of crazy in our
True,
life.
true.
Okay.
Yeah.
As good and polished as we seem on the outside, we have a little bit of crazy. So I always realize that, listen,
Yeah.
as good as a person as I think that I am, I also have a little bit of downfalls over here on the right side, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
I always understand that with everybody. And so in just pure relationships with friends that we have, with, just family sometimes, I always say, I'm never going to let that relationship go sour as much as I don't have to. I don't care what they do to me. Number one, I don't do anything with the mindset of, if I give somebody money, right? The whole analogy. If I give somebody money, I don't ever expect that person to pay me back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just going to
Yeah.
set me up for failure, right?
That's
So
right.
number one, can I, as a human and as a believer and as a pastor, make sure that every relationship always ends well? Right.
Wow.
And so now how does that go into, and just because that's what the Lord, I believe, has called us to do, is to always be within unity, always be within love. It doesn't matter what we've done, you can all, if you've wronged somebody, you apologize, you move forward, you repent, and you move forward, and you love that person. Right. So now let's talk about the clientele.
Yeah.
Listen, marketing is hard. Marketing is so difficult because I can get a plumber that I know is going to be very easy to market, but then I get clients that I'm just like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. This is going to be one of the hardest clients I'm ever going to work. And so the reality is I'm just giving it my all, and I'm going to make sure I do everything to make sure that it's successful, but sometimes it's not. And what happens is this world is conditioned to put a wall up and to pull their guns out and end an agreement really bad and I just lower the tension and I have a real conversation. When somebody sends me a fiery email, I'm going to pick up the phone and just, hey, listen, bro, I'm not against you. I'm not here. I want to rectify this in whatever way. I'm a fair guy. I'm not going to screw you. I'm asking you not to screw me. And I've learned that, in situations rarely that come up like that, just handle it, really understanding, this goes back to my faith, that I may be the only Bible somebody will ever read, right? And so if it's a client, and I have a lot of clients, man, that have gone through pure hell in their life, that are going through divorces, that are, in situations right now. So I understand that the reason why they're acting this way is really because of the situation that's going on. And I just got caught in the middle, and I have an opportunity to be an amazing figure in their life in that middle. And so how I always make sure that we don't is I'm just a real person, and I'm kind. And I also realize in the back of my head, they're most likely going to call me back. We did a study the other day in our business, and we realized that 86% of our clientele that leave us come back because they realize we're actually real and we're actually there. And so just making sure that you end things well. But what you just said is also really good. Transparency and clarity and communication. The reason why we've lost some of the clients that we do in the marketing world, man, the turnover rate is crazy, right? We actually have a great turnover rate. We don't flip as much as a lot of them do, right? But what I've realized is the main reason why is communication. It's communication. Yes. So if their ad isn't working and they're going a month and the ad's not working, but my team's in the back trying to change this and that to make sure the ad works, the client's sitting there without any communication. He thinks we're not doing anything. He thinks that we don't really care. He thinks we're just getting a check paid and that's all that we care about. When in reality, my team's back here doing everything they can to figure it out. So I said, every little change that you make on their ad, you send an email and let them know. So that way they just know.
It's brilliant advice. Yeah. Anybody listening to this, that was nothing but value for the last 45 seconds of what Kyle just shared. I couldn't agree with him more. Obviously, you're speaking with conviction and authenticity, and you're speaking from experience as well. It sounds like you've been through that pain, Kane. You've learned maybe in the past you didn't communicate, and now you are communicating or over communicating. We all have. We've all been there. I actually just dropped that in our group me the other day in the mastermind group. Not sure if you saw it or not. It's a quick little video, but it's perfectly aligned with what you're saying. Along the lines of every single week, I have my office manager reach out to 2 of our customers a day. And so that adds up, right? So that's 10 a week, and then that's 40 a month. So that adds up.
Right.
So we reach out to those customers and we ask them 3 to 5 questions, and they're good quality questions, not about, hey, how is our service or how is everything been, right? Those are very surface level. They're not going to allow you to dive deep. So they're good quality questions. And then that's what I would encourage our listeners and empower our audience as well is to do that as well. And that's what I'm hearing you say you guys do. Yeah. And I'm curious if you have any systems or processes set up like that, Kyle, as you continue to scale at Zion's Digital and designing the life that you want to live and leveling up your business. Do you have any systems like that where you reach back out to your current customers and ask them questions on soliciting feedback, or how can you improve? What can you do differently? You know, what resources do you need? What tools do you need? Do you do anything like that?
Yeah. So number one, we have a team that we've implemented, 2 people that literally their jobs is every single week to make sure that they go through every single account. And if lead count has gone down, if lead count's gone up, their job is also every single week to ensure that they're reaching out to our clients and that they're going in and they're saying, hey, we see that you got 4 more leads this week, but how have those actually converted? What have they actually done? Because the other thing that we realize is that we could get more leads, but the client can still just be as frustrated because these leads aren't converting. So it's very transparency. It's, hey, how have these leads converted? What's going on? What can we do? So we have a team that does that. I also do have another a guy on our team, and his entire job is he's on the onboarding calls, but he's a client relationship manager. So his entire job is just to literally pick up the phone and call a client and just check in. Hey, how are things going? Like, not even just with performance, right? But like, how are things going? How are things going with your business? You know, you'll always get back to what you need to do if you just purely in the marketing world ask them, how are things going in your business? Like, we're not going to talk about us for a minute. What's actually happening in your business? And they're like, oh, well, man, I'm not selling as many mattresses. And man, there's a competitor that just showed up. And then all of a sudden, Oscar's thinking, he's like, dude, we can hyper target that competitor. He's thinking this in the background. And then later on, he'll send an email and he goes, hey, after, we talked, and he'll also send a text message, right? After we just talked, I was thinking about it and we can totally hyper target. And then they think that we're taking initiative when really we're just hearing, feedback. So that's one thing that we've realized. I'm on onboarding as the owner. I'm on the onboarding calls of every single one of our clients for at least 15 minutes just to say hi and make sure that everything's good. They respect that the owner's doing that. My CEO of my company, Nicole, she literally calls our clients every single quarter. So they respect that, like, wait a minute, I just heard from the CEO of the company. That's amazing. So we have a lot of implementation that makes sense for the client as well. And we're still growing too. Like, we just realized, we said every single video shoot that we go to, my assistant is sending Tiff's Treats cookies, so a dozen cookies
That's awesome.
to the video shoots, just so that way, they just get cookies, why not? Because it costs what, $22 to ship 12 cookies to a client.
Get them a sugar spike too for some energy on the video.
You know what I mean? So that, they're going to always remember that thing. If they leave me ever, because they, the new girlfriend showed up in town, they're going to remember, man, whenever this team came. Now, what's going to happen when the new videography team shows up? As professional as they are, they didn't bring cookies.
That's right. Yeah, you're distinguishing yourself, and you're very intentional about it too. And then you're making sure your team's aligned with that as well. You had said this earlier about the conversion, and if I'm putting myself in your shoes, and you're the leader, you're the visionary, you're the one leading Zion's Digital, and you're the one building these relationships. So there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of pressure there. But I'm curious, when it comes to that, you're like, man, you're doing your job. Your team's doing your job. You're marketing, you're advertising, you're pumping in good quality leads, but the business owner and leader is not closing. What does that conversation look like? Because is that out of your scope? Do you plug them into additional resources? What do you do there?
It was out of our scope. We used to sit back and say, we're doing our job. We're sending you the leads.
Yeah.
But then we realized, number one, it's a lot of education. 98% of people, this is a real stat, 98% of people, usually they're not business owners, because business owners usually do this, but 98% of people ignore unknown phone calls. So if I get an unknown phone call right now on my phone, I'm not going to answer it. So a lot of our leads would say, these leads are crap. We're called the leads, and we call them over and over and over and over again, and they never answer. And I'm like, Well, 98% of people don't answer phone numbers. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of education in the fact. So then that's why we even built our texting AI system, because we realized that you better reach out to your lead within the first 3 minutes. Actually, sooner. You better reach out to them within a minute of a lead coming in. Why? Because number one, other companies are now starting to interest-based market your lead. So if somebody fills out a form because they're interested in marketing, well, now I already know 20 other marketing companies have put an interest-based ad on that same person. And now whenever he's sitting on the toilet or laying in bed, whatever he's doing right after he filled out a form, now he's seeing 20 other marketing companies, right? And so you better reach out to them. So what we do now is we used to have a system that automated, that texts somebody in 3 minutes, which is what we do anyways. And it continuously texts them based off of AI until that person responds. But now what I do with my leads that I'm seeing that's working better, and that now we're trying to figure out how do we implement this with every single one of our clients, is my assistant with an iPhone will put me and that lead in a group text message. And she'll send a text message, but then she'll send a audio message with her voice. So they hear she's a real person below that. Whenever I get that text message, wherever I'm at, I send a video of myself saying that person's name, saying, "Hey, Sean, you just filled out our form, dude. Thank you so much." Just so he could see I'm a real person, right? So now we've got to figure out as a team here at Zion, how do we implement that with every other client? Because we know they're not going to do that. So to answer your question, very directly is, yes, that used to be our mindset. But as a business owner, I started realizing I'm going to lose revenue because my clients are going to say, this isn't working, or we can't convert. And I started realizing, well, wait a minute. Why can't you bring somebody into your automotive shop, Christian Brothers Automotive owner? Like, why is your ad not working? Oh, maybe it's because you have a $140 oil change when the guy next to you has a 1995 oil change. So then you have to start convincing people, wait a minute, I know it's a lost lead, but it's going to pay off. And you have to literally mathematically walk them through how it's going to play off in their business when you don't even own their business, right? And so it's all about education.
Holy smokes, man. This has been a masterclass on marketing. I got like 16 other questions I wanted to ask you. We didn't even get to the nonprofit ministry.
Which is really quick. I want to interrupt you if you don't mind, which is why I say, and I'm not trying to sell myself here. I'm just saying whoever's watching, go and find a marketing company that's like this because it's amazing. But I'm not just a guy that's going to run ads. I'm not just a guy that's going to film videos. If you want that, there's a guy down the street that will do that for about $300. I'm a guy that's going to take you through the front to the back, from getting that client's attention all the way making sure, wait a minute, why can't your team sell? I have clients all the time. They're like, we can't convert. And I go back in their system and I realize, we have mattress stores really quick. We have mattress clients that we're doing, and they're by appointment only. And it was this movement that a lot of mattress store owners were like, you can own a store and it's by appointment only in revenue. But the way that Amazon has changed our world, you can't do that anymore. Right? You can't do appointment only because people don't care. People want to know, can I walk in right now and buy a mattress and walk out? That's right. Because even if it's 9 a.m. and you want me to set an appointment for 11 a.m., that's still not good enough for me. I want to walk in. And so now it's me convincing my clients, you've got to change your whole business model. You know what I mean? Anyway, so it's things like that.
Wow. Powerful. So someone right now that's stuck and they're in the safe mode, and everything that you just said is really going to get them out of their comfort zone as a business owner and entrepreneur. And they understand what you're saying. They received, it's relatable, and they're comfortable with their profit and where they are in their revenue, and really no purpose. Kind of shifting gears a little bit. What's the single courageous action you dare them to take this week? Any call to action or empowerment that you would have them take?
I will say this. Life is so much more than profit. You can have everything in this world. 2 years ago, I went through this weird season where I was actually almost going to sell my business, to be truthfully honest with you. Because I was sitting in the mountains of Guatemala in my orphanage, laying in my hammock, and little kids are running around saying, Papa Kyle, Papa Kyle. And I had this moment where I was just so burnt out in my company. And I was just dealing with this client and that client and this client. And I was like, man, is this even worth it? And I realized that I wasn't focused enough on my purpose. My purpose should be number one,
Yes.
right? My, my,
Yes.
my family should be number one. Jesus should be number one in my life, not my business. And a lot of business owners out there, I don't know if this is answering, but I'm going to say it anyways, right?
Yeah.
A lot of business owners out there have put business first. And my thing is, that will never be sustainable for you. I've had the boats, I've had the jet skis, I've had the big, beautiful horse on my property. I have an acre property. I have a beautiful house. I've had it all. We go on the vacations. We do everything, right? 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I was on drugs. So my high was my drugs. It was the alcohol. It was that. But now, if I'm not careful, my high is more profit, a bigger business, a bigger name, right? So it doesn't change. And some people are mastering those together. They're drug addicts, alcohol addicts, along with being a business owner addict. So my challenge to you is to put priorities first, because I will tell you, your business will eventually guaranteed take you down. It will take you down if it's yours.
It's brilliant advice. And what I'm hearing you say is when you live that purpose-driven life and it's bigger than ourselves, you're designing the life that you want to live without sacrificing these other areas of life, relationships, your faith, and your health. And that leads me into one of my final questions as we wrap things up is you've built relationships in both not only Texas and in Guatemala. For the leader listening to this who's in that isolation, what's the first step to finding or forming a circle that calls them to higher than themselves like you have?
Yeah, well, number one, I'll point it to you. I will say that, I've been very leery and just kind of burnt out and tired of networking groups. Okay. Yeah. And I think you're doing a phenomenal job at what you're doing, because it's your group that you have is like nothing I have ever seen before.
Appreciate that, man.
Like at all. And a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend of mine that has a business, and he's like, bro, do they do this virtually? Can I get in this virtually? And I'm like, dude, that's a thought. You know what I mean? Like you need to do it virtually. But I've never been in a group where, instead of just kind of the nonsense, right? Like, oh, my name's Kyle. I own Zion Digital. Here's my card.
Surface level. Yep.
Yeah. It's like, you're putting a couple of people in a group and you're saying, okay, what's your biggest problem? And you're just like, here we go. And you see everyone's being transparent, and that's good. And that's what and people are feeding off of each other. So I didn't even network myself. You know what I mean? I didn't even talk about my company. I literally just asked a brother, like, how are you making this process better? Because my process absolutely sucks. Right. So I think you're doing a great job. But I would say there's the person out there, wherever they are, is to plug into a group, get into a group like this. Find another business owner, right? Maybe it's a client of yours. Maybe it's a vendor of yours. Maybe it's find people like that just to go to lunch with and just relate to, right? And be transparent, be honest, and find these groups. And then obviously I'm going to tell you as a pastor, get with a solid group of believers and find and not all churches are perfect, by the way. So if you're out there looking for the perfect church, good luck. You're not going to find it. So find a church that you can relate to people and connect with. And I think it's going to change your life forever.
And brilliant advice, man. Absolute brilliant advice. Final question. We'll wrap things up. Fast forward 3 years from now. Visualize that. Describe the moment when Zion Digital and the orphanage collide to create an impact none of us have seen yet. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, I have an organization now that's called Ewald Global. So I'm actually in Ewald Global headquarters. Okay. But it encompasses a lot of what we're doing. And what I want to see and what we're already doing is the marketing company to grow businesses. I love it. I love seeing a business owner struggle and call us in 3 months from now, knowing that they're going to be in a better place. That is phenomenal to me that we can do that, right? Number two, with the snowball stands, there's teenagers that work in my stand that are not financially anywhere they need to be. Their parents are not financially anywhere they need to be. And we've developed a program where I will front the cost of a snowball stand. They own part owner of it. And by the time that this kid is 17 years old, 16 years old, he's part owner of a snowball stand. He's going to be able to generate real income and be able to go and either do that, and we're franchising it out, and then growing this orphanage and taking care of kids. I mean, we have children that have gone through some of the craziest stories that you could ever imagine. And we are literally getting calls every single day of children being put into our orphanage that came from some of the most wild scenarios you could ever imagine and worse, right? We had a little girl that the dad simply didn't want her, and he threw her into the backyard into a fire he built. He built a bonfire and threw her in a bonfire. And we're getting calls like this that we're able to pull these kids and take care of them and love them. And so 3 years ago, or 3 years from now, I will tell you, I'm where I want to be now. I love life. I'm really where I want to be now. But 3 years from now, I just want to see even more lives impacted, more students owning snowball stands, more kids being rescued, and more clients growing their businesses and doing that.
Well, you're doing it, man. You're definitely doing it. You're embodying it, and you're surrounding yourself with the right people and having that faith. And there's conviction behind that. You can hear it in your voice, and you're going through that. And you're learning, you're growing, and you're surrounding yourself with other people that are challenging you as well. That's the key. A lot of times when you become successful and whatever that looks like for you, anybody listening to this, we get complacent. We rest on our laurels. But at the end of the day, you're a believer, I'm a believer, and we are all a child of God, and we all have that untapped potential. There's always a level up moment. You just have to stare it down. And you do that by surrounding yourself with those right individuals that have similar values and beliefs and have that higher calling like you do, and that purpose and that mission and that vision. And there's no other beautiful place to be. So Kyle, thanks again for peeling back the layers today, brother, and really challenging all of us emerging leaders and business owners to market with skill and lead with purpose. Other than that, how can our community at Level Up and Live support you, man?
Yeah, well, number one, you could go fightfortheorphan.com, fightfortheorphan.com. That's our website that you can go if you want to get involved with what we're doing in Guatemala. If you want to take your team to Guatemala, there's nothing that's going to build your team better than taking a trip to Guatemala for 2 nights. We don't do, crazy long trips. We can do 2 nights all the way up to as long as you want. But getting involved with Guatemala in some way, shape, or form, not just financially, but hey, listen, I want to bring our team. I want to bring my family. I just want to get away for a couple of days and just relax and not necessarily be on vacation, but whatever. Go and be a part of Guatemala. That would be amazing for us. And then number 2, go into ZionDoesItBetter.com. That's our business website, and just learn how we could possibly come alongside you and help you see the vision and the mission for your business grow even more than what it is now. And so those are the 2 ways for sure.
Beautiful. Thanks again, Kyle. We'll have those links in the show notes. And outside of that, if you're a business owner, emerging leader in Montgomery County, craving this kind of accountability and community, jump into our Level Up Live Mastermind. We offer a 4-week free trial. Link is in the comments. Level up, live fully, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again, Kyle.
See ya.